Even though 2024 was absolutely my best, most exciting, and most successful year of reading, I still read a lot of poop. I mean, like massive, stinking, even kind of like hairy and confusing poop. Hey y'all, today I am going to tell you about my least favorite books of 2024. These are the things that I want to be deleted from the planet, the things that I don't wish upon anyone else to read. These are the things that, if these are your favorite books or you loved these books, I want to fight you in the comments about it. So I just hit myself. But I'm not really going to preface this with anything. Y'all know the drill by now. If these are some of your favorite books, it is what it is. Okay, I can't do anything about that. So let's go ahead and get into it. Also, no, more prefacing. This was the year of me reading a lot of mystery thriller, a lot of suspense, a lot of like that kind of genre. And so most of the books I read in that genre were kind of just mid, but the ones I'm going to mention here are like the worst of the worst. So this isn't going to include all of the different mysteries that were predictable or that, well, one was. That is on this list, but it had other things wrong with it as well. But none of like the just lame ones are on here. These are just the offensively bad ones. Okay, now let's get into the video. First, I want to talk about Along Came a Spider by James Patterson. So this is the first novel in the Alex Cross series. And I was actually surprised to learn upon reading this book that Alex Cross is a black man, specifically a black man from Detroit. Okay. At no point during my time with this novel did I ever feel like James Patterson had ever met a black man, let alone a black man from Detroit. What in the ebonics was this? This was such a caricature of what James Patterson thinks that black people that live in urban cities is like. It was wild. And if you want the true offensively bad version of this book, please listen to the audiobook. Please, I beg of you. The things that went into my ear canals have damaged my brain in a very interesting way. I don't recommend this. This is, I think, maybe the only James Patterson I ever read, and I'm uninterested. I'm uninterested in anything else this man has going on. I am completely baffled as to how Alex Cross became such a popular series. Like, this is what y'all daddies was reading in the airport back in the day? This? I got questions. Next, we have What Lies in the Wood by Kate Alice Marshall. This book, even though I said before I'm not really including books that were just okay, I'm mentioning this one mostly because I failed to understand what the point of this was. So if you are a true crime girly, which I think there is quite a bit of overlap between the mystery thriller book community and people who are at least casually interested in true crime, you have probably heard of the Slender Man stabbings, right? If you know the details of that case, then it kind of renders this entire book pointless, because all she did was like fictionalize a life and like conversations between made up characters, but it still follows the same beats as the real case. And so there wasn't I was waiting for like a spin on the Slender Man stabbings. I was waiting for, a different ending or like a different explanation, which there kind of was, but not really. I don't know. I think if you are already familiar with the real life true crime case that inspired this, I would just skip it. If you have no idea what that case entails, then this might be more entertaining, but this was just kind of a letdown for me. Okay, the next one. The Home is Where the Bodies Are by Geneva Rose, aka The Crib is Where the Bodies At. Okay. Yes, this book was bad enough to where it needed an alternate title. And there's quite a few more on this list that are going to have alternate titles. But my issue with this, okay. Every episode of Blue's Clues has a surprise ending for me because I can never guess anything. Now, there are times where, maybe a reveal is a little predictable or a motivation is a little predictable. But when it comes to the entire arc of a story, I'm usually never able to guess all of it even halfway correctly. Okay, Scooby-Doo blew my mind even as an adult when I went back and watched some old episodes, okay? But with that being said, I think it is a testament to how poorly plotted this book was. When I think I was maybe 50 pages in, I already knew who did it, and I was already able to guess the nature of the motivations as to why they did the thing that they did. Also, if you are going to use the whole 90s retro nostalgic kind of thing as a gimmick for your book, at least include more of those elements in it. And I don't know how old Geneva Rose is. Maybe she was too young to remember the 90s, but it didn't even give early 2000s vibes either. This gave me nothing. Other than referencing the VHS tapes, there was nothing specifically 90s about the flashbacks we got at all. So it just felt kind of gimmicky to even use that as a marketing technique, I guess. It was The Crib is Where the Bodies At could have stayed the hell at home, okay? Next, we have Things We Do in the Dark by Jennifer Hillier, I believe. Girl, I'm going to give this book 10 seconds of my time. I can't remember a single motherfucking thing they did in the dark. I don't know. I don't know what the story was about. I don't remember. I have never read a book where the moment I closed the cover, I immediately forgot everything that happened. I've been trying to think about it for a good 2 or 3 months without reading the synopsis on Goodreads. I can't tell you the first thing that happened in this book. It was so incredibly forgettable and boring. 0 out of 10, don't recommend. Moving on. Next, we have Ward D by Frida McFadden. I read 9 Frida McFadden books in 2024, and I feel like that is very indicative of my decision-making skills. I will say I did enjoy myself for a few of them. However, the ones that were bad were really bad. Ward D, I'm actually surprised that Frida McFadden hasn't been canceled on the strength of this alone, because the depictions of people with mental illness, and I'm not talking about, depression rep or anxiety rep. No. These people, had entered psychosis, right? So they were completely separated from reality. I feel like Frida McFadden thought that since these people suffered from a detachment from reality, that she could have them say and do anything and it be okay. I'll put it like this. The patients in this book could have been replaced with rabid gorillas and the plot wouldn't have changed. That is how bonkers these characters were acting. It was, this had to have been a dare. Someone double dog dared her to do this. That is all I can think of. Next, we have another book that has an alternate title. So this is called The Baby by A.J. McDine. I am going to blow up the picture of the cover so that you can see the tagline. And the tagline is, "There is a baby in your house. It isn't yours." That tagline alone explains the entire arc of this book. There's nothing else. There's nothing else. That's it. That is it. That is the whole book. And I want you to understand that. Okay, you know what? Come here. Follow me for a moment. Okay. So you share a home with someone. And while this person is out working, they work like, 3 days on, 3 days off. So sometimes they don't come home at night because they're out working, right? You wake up, the house is empty because your partner is gone, and you find a baby stashed in a drawer in your living room. Continue to follow me for a moment. What rational conclusion would you come to as to how the baby got in your house? Because remember, there's a baby in your house and it ain't yours. You did not push anything out of your lady parts, and your lower abdomen was not spliced open to introduce a human into the world. There's a baby in your house and it ain't yours is the alternate title I have given this book, because I read, I guess, 200 or 300 pages trying to figure out who put the baby in the house. Once again, you share a Yeah. No, there is no other twist. That's it. That is what happened. Exactly the conclusion you came to. That is what happened. Don't read this. Don't read this. I really thought I was going to be in for something, and this was a whole bunch of nothing. Ooh. This next one. Okay. Y'all are not allowed to judge me, okay? I don't know what I was doing, to be honest. I was abusing Libby. That's exactly what I was doing. Can y'all get into this cover of Obsidian by Jennifer L. Armentrout? Can y'all get into it? Because this is the cover that my library chose to upload to the Libby app. Honestly, I don't know how Libby works. Libby itself might be the one dictating what covers are shown for these novels, but this is what I had to look at every time I was listening to the audiobook and I had to unlock my phone. What in the teenage side titty is happening in this photo? But let's get into it. The premise of this novel is that we have a teenage girl whose mom is moving the two of them from, I believe, Gainesville, Florida, up to a small town in Virginia. And while the mom is unpacking, she asks the teenage daughter, hey, can you go and knock on one of the neighbors' doors and ask, how to walk to the grocery store? Because they didn't have a car just yet. And so she walks across the street. She knocks on her neighbor's door. And of course, who answers the door but a hot, shirtless teenage boy? So in their interactions, we learn, and before I reveal this next thing, I just need you to understand that I listened to the audiobook. Okay? It is revealed to us that this young man's name is Demon Black. Be so fucking for real right now. Okay, but we can look over that, right? Because this is a product of its time. We all read some weird stuff either online through fan fiction websites or in paranormal romance from the early 2000s and the 2010s. We've all done it, okay? However, this was not about a teenage demon boy. This was about a teenage alien boy that was named Demon Black. I need this to be vodka. What do you mean? What do you mean I read a teenage alien paranormal romance in the year of our Lord Beyonce 2024? Also, Jennifer L. Armentrout, if you happen to be watching this video, first of all, I'm sorry that your life has come to this. Also, what you calling references to Twilight doesn't then negate how crappy it is that you ripped off a good portion of the plot of Twilight. And girly, I had just reread Twilight like a month or two before I read this book, so it was still fresh in my mind. And don't ask why I was rereading Twilight. Mind your business. My bills are paid. Okay. But none of this was good. I cringed through every single moment of this book. And you know what? while we're cringing down this street, let's go into another book that I hated in 2024, where every time I turned the page, it just felt like the pool of cringe got deeper and deeper, and I was drowning. And ow! This is what I get for talking so much shit. But that book is Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. Jail. Okay. I went into this because here's the thing. I'm not a romance girly. However, I'm not trying to be a romance girly, but I do like reading in different genres. I like to read different things. And for me, it would be great if there could be one or even maybe a few romance novels that just really do it for me. I mean, I've read a lot of fantasy that has like romantic, subplots and stuff, especially back when I was reading a lot of as a young adult. But just straight up romance, it's not really my thing. But I just knew that Archer was going to be my man. I knew Archer was going to be my man because the way that the girlies on the interwebs were going up for Archer Hale, I was like, I need a slice of that pie. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what the actual fuck this was. I do. So Archer is mute due to a extremely traumatic event that happened earlier in his life. I just need you to know that the main character, Bree, would refer to Archer saying things like, my cute, mute mountain man, my sexy man, that's my boy. And it's just, what? To Bree, the only personality trait that Archer had was being mute. That was all that really mattered to her. And she wanted to navigate him not being able to speak vocally. She wanted to be able to navigate that in the best way for her, not really taking into account how Archer wanted to see things, because to her, she was like, well, he's not at a place in life that I would want to be in or that I respect. And so I want to, use whatever to speak to him. I don't care. Because at one point, he makes it clear to her how he would like to communicate. And she's just like, no, because my dad used sign language. So I'm going to use sign language. And it's like, ma'am. And then the spicy scenes were just cringe. And then he did that whole Edward Cullen thing. Here's another Twilight reference. But he did that whole Ellen DeGeneres. He pulled the Ellen DeGeneres. But he did that whole Edward thing where like he just vanished, except this man was gone for a month. Well, I think Edward was gone for a long time too. But anyways, he just leaves the area for like months and kind of doesn't really tell Bree where he's gone. And so, of course, she just tries to move on with her life. And she's at some sort of dance. I think it may have been prom or something. And she is dancing with another guy. But then the double doors fly open. And there he was in the night, standing there, looking for his girl. And everyone turns and whispers, oh, that's Archer Hale. He's back. Oh my God, he looks just like his dad. What are we doing? Who is this for? I think if this didn't have the sex scenes, this could have easily been something for like a 14-year-old audience. Absolutely. This is for the middle schoolers and the high schoolers. If we take out all the other very graphic violence and graphic sexual scenes, this was meant for a 14-year-old Tumblr audience. And I am so upset that I read a full novelization of this. Jail. To jail with you. The next book we're going to talk about is Every Little Breath by Carrie Beavis. If you want to read a book about bike to bike, gratuitous, physical and sexual violence against women, if you want to read a book where none of the women have any autonomy or consent over their own lives, jobs, or relationships, if you want to read a book where even one's characters are able to sort of not redeem themselves, but when they're able to free themselves from their abuser, they get re-victimized multiple times, this is for you. This is for you. This made my stomach hurt. Like in real life, like actually made my stomach hurt. I was listening to this via audio when I was at work one day, and there would be times where I would be doing something and I would just stand up and grimace into the void. Like who was this for? What was the purpose of this? It was disgusting. Like the main character, her boyfriend / ex-boyfriend was abusing her and was talking crazy to her. Her boss was talking crazy to her. A police officer who was supposed to be like the new love interest was talking absolutely crazy to her. She had no autonomy in anything, in any point in her life or in her story at all about anything. It was awful. And here we are at the single worst book that I read this year, y'all. I read The Favorite Girl by Monica Araya, and I am actually confused as to how this is considered a book. This was giving Swiss cheese. This was giving SpongeBob. The amount of plot holes in this book could fit 3 cargo planes with room to spare. In fact, I think even calling them plot holes is too generous. This book was a hole. The book was a hole. It was just, like, what? Okay. My alternate title in my head for this book is The Walls Are Made of Bones. I just need you to understand that, yes, there is a scene where our main character, who is now like a maid / servant in this luxury home that belongs to this family, as she is doing her maid duties, she learns that the walls are made of bones. And when I tell you this was not at all interrogated in the text, and then there are things that happen, but then are kind of, I think the writer forgot that it happened, because then she references it happening again, but it wouldn't have been possible for it to have happened again because it already happened the first time. I don't want to spoil this, but guys, there were so many plot holes. Like, there were things that, when it comes to plot continuity, these things cannot happen multiple times. Like, once it's already done, it cannot happen again. Like, it's or if it happened at a later time, then it is impossible for it to have happened earlier in the book. Things like that, right? And so I have a really hard time even considering this as a book. Guys, and this, for me, was also a letdown in the same way that Archer's Voice was, because once again, this book was so highly recommended in all of the different online like mystery, psychological thriller circles that I'm in. Everyone kept saying it's like their favorite mystery, their favorite thriller, and I was so excited for it. But y'all, what? I need this to be put underneath the jail. I need solitary confinement for this novel. I need a background check done on this writer, because I have a feeling that this was completely AI generated. Does this person actually exist? Because once again, the nonsensical, what do you mean the walls are made of bones? What are you saying? Um, I have a 7-year old and a 9-year old. I have two little homies, right? And the 7-year old little homie is very imaginative. And I feel like if I were to have asked him to just tell me like the creepiest thing he can think of in like a scary haunted house, that is some shit he would have come up with. What if the walls are made out of bones? I was so flabbergasted. I was actually, this is how bad it was. So I read it as an ebook on my Kindle. It was so bad that I double checked that I got this book through Amazon via Kindle Unlimited because I thought, did I accidentally download like a pirated PDF that just got the words in the sentences scrambled? Because there's no way. There's no. I need alcohol for this. It was so bad. It absolutely is one of the worst things I've ever read. I cannot tell you enough times to avoid this book at all costs. And if someone recommends this book to you, those are fighting words. I said what I said. I said what I said. And now with that off my chest, I never have to talk about these books again. They can't hurt me anymore. They're gone. We're in a new year. We're in a new year. We're doing better things, different things. We're making better decisions. And I'm so glad that you can now avoid these books. I hope that you have a wonderful 2025. Thank you so much for your support. And let me know in the comments, did you like any of these books? Did you also think some of these books were giant piles of poop? And let me know. Actually, no, maybe you shouldn't tell me what your worst books are, because then I might feel inclined to read them, but then I'm going to be mad that I read them and they were crappy. Anyways, thank you so much for your support, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.